Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the CPRW Podcast. My name is Colin. I do Colin's Punk Rock World and CPRW Records. Today we are joined by CPRW regulars Lara and Dan number 2.
Hello.
How are you both?
Yeah, pretty good. I've had like 4 or 5 coffees this morning, so I'm actually really good for now.
So much energy.
Yeah.
How's Dan?
I'm okay. I've only had 1 green tea, but it's in a big mug, so it counts as 2 green teas.
Very good. I had some spicy rice just before we started, so let's see how that goes. And I've discovered putting chocolate spread on custard creams is the most genius thing I've ever done.
Sounds disgusting.
Wow.
It's amazing. I recommend it. So anyway, food tips out of the way. Today we are debuting a new feature that we're calling Album Club, because I'm terrible at naming things. If you got, I'll explain what it is, and if people have got a better suggestion, please let us know, and we'll call it that instead. So each episode is going to be me, Dan, and Lara, and in future episodes we're going to have a special guest. And the point of it is we all pick an album or like an EP, and then say, send it to the other people, and they all listen, and then we all meet up on this podcast and discuss what we like about them or dislike or any of those sort of things. And and like to add a bit of, I guess, competition and to it, we're gonna at the end of this is a really horrible explanation, but I'm going to continue on. And so at the end of discussing it, we're gonna each pick our favorite of the albums or EPs we were sent, and if yours gets picked, you get a point, and if you've got the most points at the end of the episode, you then get to choose the year that the next episode's albums come from. So say if I win and I could pick 2016, and we all pick music from that year.
Okay.
And if it ends up in a draw, we just pick what we like.
It's like a book club, but with winning.
Book club. It's like a book club. But it's basically how I ripped the book club idea off. But, yeah.
I love it.
I do, before we sort of do continue, I do want to really sort of emphasize music isn't a competition, and we're not saying our picks are the best or whatever, because we're just saying that's what we prefer, because music is all subjective and art, and there's not a winner in music, really, unless you're like Taylor Swift. I guess she's winning. But she's, with all her pennies she has. But I think that's it, really. That all makes sense to everyone, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Good. I'm sure, hopefully, the listener will understand what I've just rambled on about. And okay, so I guess we'll move on straight away. Who wants to go first?
I don't mind.
We'll go with Dan then, because on my screen he's in the top left starting point corner. If you're watching or listening on Spotify, Dan's sort of making movements as to say, why me? Because
Lara went, I don't mind, and then you went, well, we'll go with Dan.
I like to pick on Dan.
Oh, I know.
I do love him, though, and I am very kind to him most of the time.
You fired me on a podcast the other day.
I think I fired you on one you weren't even on. But,
yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, so
all right.
Cool. So you want to tell us who you picked and sort of tell us a bit about them?
I have picked this is the word I can't say. Entropic?
Maybe.
Is it entropy?
I read it as Entropic, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I read it too, but I don't know.
Yeah, by Hit the Switch. Hit the Switch are I believe they're an American band. Oh, I need my notes in front of me.
Yeah, I learned this when I was listening.
California, I want to say.
California, yeah, I think so.
Their singer used to be in Poor Habit. I've done my research.
Oh, go on, Colin.
I didn't research my own band, unfortunately.
and they also have a member of Voodoo Glow Skulls.
What?
No way, really?
Oh my God. I love Voodoo Glow Skulls. This makes a lot of sense now. Yes.
Really shouldn't have picked Dan to Dumb Guy first. He's so unprepared. Yeah, they're the two things I knew about that, though, I'm afraid. Oh, and they're on that record label that used to do all the skate punk. Bird Attack.
Bird Attack, yeah, they're on Bird
Yeah.
Attack. I knew that.
Yeah, okay, there's some...
Yeah, it's their 4th album as well.
Oh,
Didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that. I didn't read that much.
Nope.
Yeah, the reason I picked it is because I felt like it's an album that I didn't see the year it came out. Like, it came out in 2018, and I didn't really hear anything about it, like nobody really singing its praises or anything. But I discovered it, I think it was the year last year, when I was chatting to Alistair from On a Hiding to Nothing. And he was basically like, if you like our band, you need to listen to Hit the Switch, because they're basically us. But like, we basically borrowed a lot of our inspiration from them. And I literally fell in love with them, and they were playing a week later in New Cross Inn, and I just picked up a ticket and went, and there might have been like maybe 30 people at that show, but it was probably the best show I went to that year.
Wow.
Like 100%, like they hit everything pitch perfect. Like the guitars sounded amazing, the technical like power of it, and they just like made it look effortless. And like, I just fell in love with it. And yeah, I'm just a huge Hit the Switch fan after this album.
Yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, Dan is currently wearing a Hit the Switch t-shirt.
I am. I bought this at the show as well. I didn't even think about this, putting it on the spot as well. I just like by chance picked up my Hit the Switch shirt. My favorite tracks are probably Associate Forces on the record, and Country Club Circle Jerk. The latter one being about like nationalism and basically the very preachiness of like a lot of prophets and sort of nationalism baked into that. And the guitar solo in it is just one of the best guitar solos I've ever heard. It's like, they don't have to be long or like built up to, they just happen and they're spontaneous, and like you just want to listen to these guitar solos again. And that's like the big thing for me on the record. It's just like everything, like I'll listen to songs for like 10 seconds of just tech, which is like a really weird thing to say, but like a lot of skate punk is I gravitate towards these like 10-second or 30-second moments in a song rather than a whole song, like piece of the song. But like I don't feel like there's even a second wasted in the songs at all. They just sound perfectly, and the vocals are all like very harmonic and lovely, and I just really like the record front to back.
It's like interesting you say that, Dan, where you kind of feel like they haven't wasted any time in the songs, because I was saying the same thing. I was talking about it today with my husband, and I thought it kind of sounded like they'd shaved off all the unnecessary parts of the song, just did what the song does, what it does. Do you know what I mean? There's no like added bits on to make it more complicated or something that it isn't. So yeah, I agree with you on that. It's interesting that we both thought that. That's cool.
See, so for me, I think you might know this already, Dan, but really, really shreddy sort of punk, like really technical. Like, I appreciate it because it's incredible they can do that, but I've always been like, I don't like punk music that makes me feel inadequate. That makes sense. Like, it's like I say, I appreciate it. It's an incredible skill, but I like what punk is to me is like an everyman music. So I prefer just to keep it simple. But like, as I say, it's incredible they can do it though, and I don't think it's like unnecessary in the songs, but it's just not my cup of tea.
So
the most negative thing I've ever said on Colin's Punk Rock World in 6.5 years, and I feel really bad.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Like, because I'm sort of the opposite, which is like, you've heard me play guitar. I'm not like the most technical musician. Like, I hold power chords wrong. I use these 3 fingers instead of these 3. It's like I'm not the greatest guitarist in the world, but like a lot of their stuff inspires me to go further and to learn things that are more technical and like push myself essentially. Like it to me is like, here is how good punk rock could be if we were really good musicians as well. On top of that, there's something amazing about it. The other thing I would like to point out, they're also the only band where I've like literally after they finished playing, I went over and looked at all of their pedal boards and all of their gear, and I was like, what are you playing? How do you sound so good? And like, I picked up the same wah pedal as their guitarists based on just watching them and just thinking, I love the sound this makes, and like the sort of the screeches it sort of makes. It's like, it's beautiful.
I thought it was interesting for me, like, because I thought there was it's like a crossover, like, isn't it, like metal and punk, and it's kind of good in that in the middle, kind of, you kind of get skate punk kind of born out of that almost, because you got like the riffs and the licks, and also like the really fast drums. So I think this, like, I was kind of thinking, like, who does this band remind me of, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but then I was like, it's kind of like Rise Against, kind of meeting, like, I know it sounds a bit naff, but kind of meeting like Dragon Force, like with the guitar, but then also like with later Sum 41 stuff as well, because it's kind of got a bit of the pop punk stuff on it. So I really liked it. I thought it was awesome. And also for me, like, I'm a really big Manic Street Preachers fan, so anything that's got a sample or something like taken out of a film or a quote at the start of a song or in the middle of a song, you instantly get like 10 points from me. So the fact that this opens up with something and then you can hear it build up throughout the end of that quote, that's awesome for me. And I found as well the song, sorry Colin, I've got so many notes. The song, I think it's Slaughterhouse 13. That one kind of like really got me, because it opens up with a quote from, I think it's a guy called like Philip Woolen. It's a quote that I'd heard before, because I used to be really into kind of that, the animal rights movement when I was younger, and I was like a bit of a militant vegan. But I quickly learned that people don't listen when you're kind of militant about stuff like that, so I'm not like that anymore. But I found like the quote was really like emotive, and that kind of got me quite emotional. And then the music doesn't really let up, but it's not like an emotional song in the sense that it tugs at your heartstrings, but it's so brutal, like it's so heavy, and it's in contrast with the quote, but at the same time it's like it's almost like it was the first time I heard it, and in my head I was like, this sounds so chaotic, like I can imagine sort of that's what's going through the heads maybe of the animals that are like waiting to be slaughtered. But I thought it was a really, really good choice. I really like them. They're like one of my new favorite bands.
I'd say Slaughterhouse 13 was one of my favourite songs on it, and I wish they'd done a few more songs that sounded like that on the album.
Yeah.
But when you're going back to the audio clips, I disliked them a little bit. I kind of felt like they ruined the flow of the album.
Oh, okay.
I was like, it felt a bit more, I wanted it to keep going, and it felt a bit stop-start because of the clips.
Okay.
I really like it because it like contexts bits of the album, because the lyrics, like their lyrics are so quite complex that you need kind of a lyric sheet to go through and go, okay, this is what they're talking about. But like,
I did appreciate that on Bandcamp. All bands should.
Oh yeah, man. I love the fact I managed to get all these on Bandcamp and everyone had filled their lyrics in. Perfect. It's just like, here is a quote out of context with like some nice atmosphere and some backing and a soundscape maybe, so then you can context what they're talking about and then get some tidbits to then basically, without the lyric sheet, understand what this is about. And yeah, Slaughterhouse 13 is quite a song, like the heaviest song on the record, and like I love the way that quote is like really soft spoken as well, into like the pure chaos, and it's like so lovely. And like,
I thought it was brilliant, and it stuck with me as well. Like after I listened to it and I started like just doing some housework or whatever, and I was like, fucking hell, that was really fucking heavy, and then it stuck with me, and then I was getting like wound up again about it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it was a really good choice.
Yeah, I do have some nice things to say about it, because I've mostly moaned about things I didn't like, but I do have nice things. It feels like a very like uplifting album. Like I think that's the vocals, like that soaring sort of. They seem to go higher as on each line. I really like that. It makes like a good sort of, gives you a bit of energy and sort of passion. I'm all for that. North Star, I think, was my favourite song on the album.
I've got that down as one of mine as well.
I really enjoyed the gang vocals, because I'm a sucker for gang vocals.
Oh, me too.
The song's got a gang vocals. Yep, it's just brilliant. And I like a lot of the messages on the album. Like obviously got family, mental health, like moving on, elitism, and how wars are ruining the world. Yeah, I like that part of it. My other like gripe is like, I felt like it's an album I could sort of listen to in order or on shuffle, and it wouldn't make much difference.
Ooh.
Like
Okay.
that might be me, to be honest, I'm not sure if that's a negative or a positive, because it kind of shows that every song, has its own, like, it could be a starter, it could be a finisher, it could be like a middle track. So I'm not really sure if that's a negative or a positive for me, but that's something I sort of picked up. Like
I don't see that at all as well. Like, because the first song is such a like first song, and the last song is such a last song that like
the last song disappointed me. I was expecting it to be like huge, because I saw it was like 5 minutes long, whatever it was. I thought this is going to be a big ending, and then I didn't feel like it delivered as much as I hoped. That might have been my high expectations.
Maybe.
I think that's partly because of all the shredding that had sort of gone on beforehand. I thought, okay, this is going to be an epic finale, and then it didn't grab me as much as I hoped it would.
Like, I don't think they use the shredding like a lot of other skate punk bands. It's not like we are like ramming the technical down your throat.
Oh, definitely not.
Like,
definitely not.
I feel like they're building the songs for the themes and sort of like having like essentially no time wasted, but like not overdoing it.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely sort of worked with the songs. It wasn't just showing off. It felt like this was the plan for the song, and it wasn't just like Johnny Guitarist going, "Look what I can do." That's my impression of guitar.
I've seen a lot of lead guitarists that are like that.
Exactly.
It was a very good impression.
Yeah. I don't know who Johnny Guitarist either is. I'm sure he's a wonderful man who shreds really well. Yeah. Okay, that's all I really have to say about Hit the Switch and Entropic, however you may say that.
I just want to point out how well the lyricism is written. Like, when you can write things like, I felt the burning of her grip and it laced through my heart, and like it just goes past people and it doesn't feel out of place. Like, it just, it's beautiful to write perfect poetry like that and just slot it in your songs. Like, it's on like par with Propagandy for me. Like, literally the technical like vocals and the sort of poetry you've written in there is like so moving that you could like read it like on its own and go, this is really, really well written. Like, yeah.
That's a big comparison. Propagandy. It's like one of the most, like, I'd say so, yeah. Like, compare any band to like one of the biggest sort of punk bands in history. That's really big words, I think. You really love this album.
Yeah, I really do.
I mean, I should also point out I'm not a big Propagandy fan either, because
like, I've got another bit written down, which is the unleashes growths, the rates of emergence, and we all die for just the cost of life consumables and war sustainable returns. Like, that's on par with the publicly subsidized, privately perfittable, the anthem of the upper tier, puppeteer untouchable. Like, I can see those two things against each other, you know what I mean? Like, on political writing, it's that's why I make that comparison. Like, I'm not undermining Propagandy at all, but I literally think their lyricism is on par with Propagandy's.
You've made a very good case for this album. I feel really bad that I've said a couple of negative things, knowing how much you like it.
Don't worry.
Like, music is.
It's about.
I'm sure you're all about to destroy what I picked now. But have we got anything else to say about Hit the Switch then, other than, or shall we move on to the next choice? Do you want to go, Lara, or shall I? I don't mind.
You can go, Colin, because I think that's kind of how it was in the playlist.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so I've gone for a band from New Jersey called Thirsty Guys. They released an album called Parched in 2019 on Bad Time Records. I picked it one because I think it's a really, really good album. And I felt like it was like Bad Time Records over the last year or so has got a lot of well-deserved attention and love. But I felt like this one went under the radar a bit. So that's why I picked it. So, like, it's on a really big word that I can't actually say. So it's like unapologetically like ska, but it's also doesn't really follow like traditional like third wave ska or like current ska sounds. So, like they've got like a little sound all of their own.
Yeah.
which is what Bad Time do a lot, to be fair, and all their like roster is all very different sounding, and it sort of really tears up the stupid theory that all ska sounds the same.
Yeah.
Oh, else have I got on my notes? I mean, that's the gist of it, really. Yeah. So I think it's like what I like about it is it's I've really not prepared for this anywhere near as well as Dan has, so I apologize.
No, I haven't either.
I really like it's obviously recorded well, but it's also got like a raw, scrappy quality to it, which I really enjoy. I feel like gives any album or like release like an extra like boost of energy if it's not like doesn't sound perfectly like polished and sort of produced. So that was the thing I really liked about it, and it's a lot more emotional I found than a lot of ska albums as well.
Yeah, it was interesting for me, like, because I know it, like, I messaged you, Colin, and said, I'm going to do some research on the bands, so, like, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I didn't really do a lot on this one. I didn't even realise they were from New Jersey, and that's interesting for me, because I wrote down, like, these guys sound a bit like, they remind me of Capdown, and obviously that's, I thought they had, like, quite a British sound to them, so that's really surprised me.
I was listening to them in the car on the way back from somewhere, and I was like, they sound a bit like Capdown.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at their Facebook page, and I was like, I don't have where they're from on the Facebook page. This is a bit weird. But they must be from the UK, because Colin's picked them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing I was thinking. I was like, they sound like that, but also Colin chose them, so it must be UK. But yeah, no, I thought it was great. I like that they had that kind of a ska organ type sound on the songs as well. So that's a bit of a nod to like classic ska as well.
Yeah.
But also I thought like you said, it's not like, I guess like a lot of the ska that has been around, and it's not like the comedy ska. Do you know what I mean? Like, because some ska can be a bit like, oh, this is a bit naff. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I like ska, but I think it's a good example of what like ska punk can be. And I think if someone doesn't really like ska or kind of scoffs at it, I think it's a good band maybe to say, well, maybe you could try this instead, because they do have some songs that maybe only have a few like upstrokes, not like, and it starts off more about as a punk song and then kind of moves into ska. So yeah, I really liked it. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of like a mixture of like Capdown and then sometimes a little bit of Sponge in there, little bits. And there were like some songs just sounded completely out of like, but like they weren't supposed to be on that album. Like Bullshit was one. And I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like the copyrights a little bit. You know that song Shit's Fucked? I was like, that sounds like that. So like that's one of my favorites on there. But yeah, I really like the vocals. I like the strained vocals over the upstrokes as well. I think that's quite a nice contrast, and you can kind of hear like the passion in the voice as well.
Yeah, I really love the vocals on that album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool.
I really like a point about comedy ska bands, because like a lot of their albums, if you're a comedy ska band, you don't have a lot of staying power.
Yeah,
like it's like a lot of like they'll usually trickle out where you'll find like a couple of songs more funny than the rest, and those will be the ones that like stand out on the album. The rest of them will go under the radar, but like this was like consistently like really hardworking, felt good ska. I really like I'm a sucker for a chorus, so Not Playing Fest was like top of the like, I was like,
I did put in my notes that's the obvious single, which it was. They did the video for it.
I really like just the idea of going, we're not playing this festival unless you want us to, please have us, please. Like that's cute. That's fun. I really like that. I really like Weekend at Bernie's. I really like Blank State.
Yeah,
like,
that's my standout as well.
Like that was the other one where I was like, this sounds really like what your sound is going towards.
Yes.
Like it sounds dark and quite gritty as well, and like I can really feel the emotion in it. And like, I just really like that. Like, it really like resonated with me as well. Like I just trying not to hate anything and trying to like basically just be a blank slate and just not try and be with anything. It was really, really good. This is me being mean now. I don't like the production. Like for the reason that Colin said, it's the opposite for me. So like I like my stuff like tighter produced.
Okay.
But to be honest, like with the size that they are, I was shocked how good the record was. Like they're sat like something. They're like a really small band comparatively to a lot of other bands, and like the record is like much better than like the quality of record you expect from a small band. Like it's really, really good, and like the sound and production suit it. I just prefer everything a bit tighter and a bit like more well-rounded. The other thing that like kind of weighed on me is sometimes the vocals felt like out of place. Even like there were certain, it either really worked that it was like dark and like sort of with it, or it didn't for me. Like there were a couple of songs where I was like Bad Chemistry, like the second song I really didn't like because of it. It just felt like kind of like it didn't work with the like, sort of light hook. Like it had that really like da-na-na-na-na-na, like sort of classic ska thing, but like the vocals didn't suit it because they're so like kind of dark and gritty in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I like the contrast. I think
the contrast,
yeah.
I to be honest, like I think whatever they're going to do on the next album will really, really interest me with wherever they go with their sound. Like I'm really, really interested, but like there were a couple of songs that like to me were just like a bit of a mismatch. And I was like, I'm not really feeling that. Like, I feel like you should be like going for the darker route because it felt more authentic, maybe. But saying that, again, I liked Not Playing Fest, which was probably the most happy, upbeat song on the record.
Yeah. If you like the darker stuff, I think at least two of their members are in Best of the Worst.
Not heard of them.
Another like Bad Time Records band. They've just released like a skacore album like a couple of weeks ago at time of recording this, and like talking to Paul of B Sharp and always appearing on this podcast, it seems. Like, and he said like, and the patron saint of ska punk has said that's the best skacore album he's heard in a very long time. So that's cool. For me. I mean, Paul isn't the Bible of all things ska, but it's as close to it, I think.
Yeah, he's as close to it as we've got. So
now let's say something mean about him to even it out. Bloody them are rubbish. There we go.
I'd also like to say bands with keyboards. 100% every time. Love a keyboard.
He's the singer. He's the singer.
Yeah.
And so I really want to see how that works live because
I watched the video for Not Playing Fest, and he just like literally just sings the chorus and then goes straight to the keyboard, and I was like, yes, like, love a band with a keyboard, and it sounds great in the songs that it's in.
Yeah.
But anything else to add on the really, really fantastic album Parched by Thirsty Guys?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, we're going to head for a quick break, and here's an advert that I have kind of made up on the spot, and we're going into the future at the time of recording this. But so a couple of weeks ago, depending on when this is out, CPRW Records released their latest compilation, which was called, I still can't say it, Horses for Causes, like horses in when you've got a sore throat from singing, and causes because charity. It's a very clever wordplay. If someone could speak, could say it. That compilation features, among many bands, we've got American Fields, Early Flights, Hello Famine, Melodic Disaster, 1 Million Motors, Only Strangers, Ourselves, Shut Up, Twist Again, Worst Advice, 3DBS Down, Swan Prince, Fat Chance from New Jersey as well, another great New Jersey ska band, Nelson Savage from Scotland, and a load more other bands. That's raising money for Music Support, which is a charity that helps musicians and people in the music industry who struggle with addiction and depression and mental health problems. So I think given the year most musicians or everyone's had, it's very... There's a lot of people who will be struggling, so I thought that was a really good charity for us to try and support. So that's on the CPRW Records Bandcamp page with all our other releases, which are still raising money for charity. So thanks to everyone who's brought it so far, and if anyone else wants to check it out, we would love you forever. Okay, and we will be back in a second. Hello and welcome to part 2 of the CPRW Podcast, episode 18. We're still playing Album Club. Hopefully you've enjoyed it thus far. We've got one album left to go, which is Lara's Choice. Over to you.
Yeah, cool. All right, so this was a band that I found just kind of like looking through Bandcamp, and I am a bit of a sucker for names, like band names and album covers or album artwork. So this one is a band called Dogleg, and like it made me laugh anyway because like, it made me think of, you know, that meme of like, how do dogs wear jeans? Like, do they wear it on all of their legs or just the back of their legs? And then I was thinking, like, do dogs have arms? Because like they dig with their front paws, and that's what we would do, right? So like that made me laugh. I was like, I've got to check out this band. That name's like crazy. So yeah, so they just, I think I found them at the end of last year, and they brought out their album Melee in March last year. So it's quite new, and it grabbed me straight away because like although like I'm more into like that kind of the gruff punk sort of sound. That's kind of what I like to listen to. But this kind of made me feel like, I don't know, like it's kind of got a feeling of kind of at the drive-in sort of like post-hardcore, emotional hardcore punk rock, and kind of really like aggressive kind of like I don't know, vocals and stuff. So but really kind of like passionate and like emotional as well. So it really grabbed me, and every song I thought was just as good as the last one. So yeah, what did you guys think about it? Oh, sorry, they're from Michigan and they've been going to 2015. I've just put my notes down. Get that in there. I got so obsessed with talking about dog legs, I forgot to do the part about the band.
Don't worry. I like really enjoyed it like straight away, because it's not something I would necessarily decide to listen to. It's not got a trumpet in it, but I think actually a couple of songs did when I was looking at the thing on Bandcamp when they said the credits. I think there was actually some brass on here somewhere.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I loved it. Like I think after 3 or 4 songs, I went straight on my Discogs and added it to my want list. And I've searched especially subject. They're ready for it, and got a notification when it comes in stock.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like I really like it was like quite urgent. And I really like urgent music. Again, a bit like Thirsty Guys, the vocals are a bit more strained, which I really enjoy.
Yeah,
just all round great energy as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are my first thoughts.
Cool.
I kind of had a head start on this one. My friend Danny from a band called Masquerader, who are like a hardcore band from Reading, recommended me it when I basically looked for loads of new albums by the end of the year just to sort of ask people what I might have missed. And to be honest, it might have made my top 10 if I heard it earlier and had more time to sit with it.
Okay.
It's very emotional, very consistent. It feels like this might be an off reference, but it feels like a pup record to me, but like more pushing into the hardcore.
Yeah.
I see that straight away.
Emotional vocals and the grittiness of it. Oh, it's so. Oh, yeah. I love that sort of like just energy it puts out. Like I can listen to it front to back and like just feel it like through my headphones. It feels so good. And it kind of takes the cake. If you can get me a record that makes me cry by the end, you take it. And Ender definitely did make me cry. Like like that's a perfect sort of long song as well. Like how it like blends between like being a soft like sort of like emotional thing and then being a full-on hardcore song with each drop just feeling more violent and powerful than the last. And just by the end I was just in tears. It's lovely. Like I thought Ender was really that's one of my highlights on it. And I think, you know, when we did the Last Songs podcast, where I said we were talking about Finch and they have the song Ender and it isn't the last song. But on this one it is, and I really appreciate that.
It's no false advertising.
No, exactly. I think as I listened through it, like each song really had me wanting more as well, like wanting me to keep going and going.
Yeah.
And it felt like then the whole album, it was actually the same amount of time as Hit the Switch, interestingly, by 36 minutes.
Okay.
And Hit the Switch, I felt kind of, this is a negative about Hit the Switch again. I apologize. I'm sure you're wonderful people. But I felt like it kind of dragged. But this one, the 36 minutes flew by.
Yeah, that's what when I first heard it, it was it's that thing like I've mentioned before, like, you know, sometimes you listen to so much music and it kind of becomes a bit of a blur, right? And then you hear one band or one song and then you think, that it makes you listen to it. And as soon as I heard like the first song off this album, like I listened to the whole album and I actually like engaged with it. And sometimes when you have so many suggestions to listen to, it's quite hard to find something that makes you want to engage. But yeah, this one I was definitely like made sure I and it's kind of, even if you do kind of zone out a little bit, the vocals and the strain and kind of the shouty vocals and the aggressiveness of it kind of brings you back in sometimes, I think. So yeah, all rounder for me. And it kind of makes me feel like, it's a sound that like I love, this kind of like that emotional hardcore kind of punk sound. It's something that like I don't listen to that often, but when I do hear it, I like, and when it's done really well, it's like, fuck yeah, this reminds me of like 2010 or whatever, like back in the day. So yeah, so it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd sort of say that, like you say, it's quite emotional, it's quite heavy, and there's a lot of like shouting and sort of training going on. But it's also, I found a really easy listen.
Really easy listen, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was quite an impressive thing to manage to pull off with that kind of sound.
I think the first track kind of like lures you in. Like it's not the most like heavy, like screamy song on the record. That like it just sort of like, it's just enough that it sort of draws you in, and then you're ready to listen to the rest. I have a criticism, but it's not really a criticism for me, which is I wouldn't listen to any one song off the record without listening to it front to back. I'd only like listen to this, like I'd put on the first track, go all the way to the bottom, and then be done with it. I don't feel like I could listen to like one song or one single on its own.
Yeah, this is why I want the vinyl of it.
Yeah. And what's cool as well, and this was a debut as well, so it will be interesting to see what else they can come up with, from here on such a strong first one, right? So obviously they've got like EPs and stuff that they brought out, but it'll be cool to see where they go with the sound. So yeah.
I found quite like interesting. Like I saw they recorded it as like a 3-piece, but I wonder if they'll play it as a 3-piece, because that seems to be a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I saw a live video that they did for Audio Tree on YouTube where they actually played it as 4-piece, but that's the only video I've found of them playing as 4-piece.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the last year, they haven't really been able to tour it, so that's, I guess, when they're allowed to play that, I'll answer that question. But I think it'll be a really good album to see live.
Yeah.
And a good album to see front to back live as well. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. And as I say,
there's like just some really beautiful like lyrics on there that are practically poetry as well. It's like, I'll keep it in my head every increment. Do you wonder how much you can spend until you're crashing to an end? Which like is basically talking about like bottling up emotion and like spending things when you're expending effort and just getting to a point where you break down finally, and that's in Cannonball. Like that's just absolutely beautiful to write it like that. Like there's so many things like that you might not pick up on because of the shouty sort of vocals, but they're beautiful sentences. And like, it really is worth like looking through the lyrics and seeing everything, because it's beautiful stuff.
I think I remember the name of the song that was my favourite, and I'm rubbish at remembering song names. Because I suck.
I've got them all in front of me if you want.
I know, I've just got the thing up on Bandcamp. I really liked? Was it Head First or Hotlines? I can't listen because it won't work with this very well. The one that had really, really good like gang vocals, obviously. I really liked. But I can't remember which one it was called.
The Hotlines has that sort of ska beat in the middle of it. I think.
Might have been Hotlines, but
that pop sort of beat in the middle of a hardcore song randomly.
Yeah, but no, I really, really enjoyed the whole album. But there was one song that I really stood out, which I've forgotten the name of because I don't write as good notes as Dan does.
Don't write things out.
This is the trouble when I did all my listening and my notes kind of in my head because I was listening at work. And if work are listening to this, I definitely wasn't listening to music at work when I should be working.
Yeah, of course.
I definitely wasn't ignoring customers and walking around a car park with headphones in. So my notes are kind of scribbled down afterwards, well, when I should have maybe done better. So in the next album club, I'll do better homework.
I think we all will do better homework.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a pilot, as you were. When the first episode of a TV show is never brilliant. It's okay. So
Yeah.
that's what we're aiming for today. Okay. I guess so. Now we pick which our favourites were. I have a feeling we know who's won. Dan, do you want to go first? We'll go in the order that we presented, I guess.
My pick is definitely Dogleg Melee. It's just any album that can make me cry kind of ascends into a new level of like, you need to be up here, and like, perfect hardcore energy with like the sort of breakdowns, but still enough space that I feel like I can breathe through the emotion, and like, the lyricism's brilliant, and just it's very good, and that's definitely my pick. And I wish I'd given it more time last year to then give it some more exposure at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find it till the end of the year, and it was. I wished I'd found it earlier as well.
It does very much feel like an album that was slept on.
Yeah,
by a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's probably just because of the kind of year it was. So.
Yeah.
Unprecedented, as they say. Mine is Dogleg as well, which is probably no surprise.
Oh, cool.
It's really, really good album, front to back. It's not something I'd normally listen to, but really enjoyed it. Good. So, thank you for recommending it to us.
Yeah, no worries. It's not my pick. My pick was Hit the Switch. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I really like the kind of, it's just enough kind of metal over it to catch, kind of pull you in. I like, it's not a word, but it's a word I've made up to describe what I like in music, which is there's enough immediacy to it, like it's urgent, and it's kind of like it's short and fast, and it's exactly what you want. And as well, sometimes I find, like to write those sorts of songs, sometimes, people can get it really wrong, but I think they get it really, really right, and they're quite a credible band. So yeah, I think they kind of caught me off a little bit. I was surprised by how good they were. So yeah, that was my pick.
Okay, yeah. So Lara wins the episode with 2 points and gets
I
lost. So I should stop Colin's Front Rock World, I guess, and recommend it to people. You both ruined 6.5 years of my hard work.
Sorry, Cole.
So Lara gets to pick a year that we do.
Oh shit, yeah.
One, and I probably should have pre-warned you that we were going to do this rather than half hour earlier before we started recording, but there we go.
Is there do I have to stick within a time limit, or can I just pick any year? I'm not going to pick like the 80s or anything. But
any year that has happened.
Any that has happened, okay. Okay, just for no reason at all, I'm just going to pick 2015. I've got no reason why. That's the only thing that can stick to my head. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll write that down. I will.
Same as me, actually. I should write it down.
15.
Okay, so in the next episode, we will be presenting albums from 2015 that we think are great. And I think that was the last year I didn't do a top 10 for the year. I think that maybe. Or maybe I did. I can't remember. But and hopefully next time we will have a special guest to help to do this with us. That was always the plan, but unfortunately there were some tech issues today. So we've had to soldier on, and you just had to put up with us. But so next time, special guest, and the next episode of Colin's Punk Rock World, we've got quite a special episode. We'll go on a plan, and that doesn't fall through, but I'll announce it anyway, because why not? We've got Matt Bartlett and his Init Records roster coming on to do a special fantasy festival, so that'll be really good. And before we end this podcast, I wanted to talk a little bit more about mental health, because at the time of recording this, we've been in lockdown or on and off for the best part of a year now, and I know for me, last night I had a really, really bad night. I just wanted to have a good cry, and I spoke to people, and I maybe feel better. So if you are going through bad times, which we all are, but make sure you talk to people. If you don't feel like you can talk to your friends or your family, there are plenty of other ways you can talk to people. Like, you've got Mind and Headspace and Samaritans and loads of different mental health charities that are here to help you. You're not alone. Yeah, feel free to reach out to, I guess, any of us if you want. I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say that. Mm-hmm. But just talk to people if you're struggling. Everyone's going through shit at the moment, so don't be alone. And yeah, that's my ending. I don't have a proper way of ending this 18 episodes in. I plan everything else apart from saying goodbye. Yeah, thanks for listening and watching. Thanks to Dan and Lara for hanging out this afternoon. I've really enjoyed doing this.
Yeah.
I miss nerdy music chats.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
probably going to be the nerdy music format then. This is the nerd podcast out of the four.
Well, we do have fantasy festivals as well, which is also super nerdy. But yeah, hopefully you've been enjoying everything we've been doing. If you've got ideas for topics we can talk about, I'm all ears because ideas are hard. Yeah, check out Colin's Forgot Wild, CPRW Records, Dan plays in Tape It Jack. Check them out. They've released an EP at the end of last year, I believe it was, which was really good fun. They have a song about a toilet, which I enjoyed massively. Yeah, I think that's it. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, remember to say bye. This is audio.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.